Hey y'all, welcome back to the Chalk Sports Podcast. Today we are on to NBA. So, as you guys know, we're normally an NFL podcast, but lately NFL is about to wrap up. I know a lot about NBA, and I'm about to share my knowledge with you all. I love the NBA. I very much am super deep in the NBA. So we're going to only talk about NBA today, because this is a huge day. We're going to talk about the power rankings. A lot of people do it once every month, every few months. We're going to do it once, maybe twice before playoffs. So, we're recording this on Thursday at 3:02. So, I don't know about any of the games. But we're going to go right into it. Today, we're going to be talking about the best of the best, the dark horses, the middle of the tier, the middle of the pack. I called it the candy under your bed, and the bottom of the barrel. So, to explain what that means, the best of the best is obviously championship contenders, the best teams you can possibly see. The dark horses are the sneaky teams that could win a championship, but are maybe just outside of it. The middle of the packs are good enough to make the playoffs, good enough to be a borderline playoff team, but not good enough, but too good to be a lottery team. The candy under your bed is not good at all, but a slight surprise. And the bottom of the barrel are just terrible teams. Not good, not well. We're going to start number one. We're going to go straight into it. We're going to go over the Thunder. I think the best team in the NBA is the Thunder currently, and there's no doubt about it. They are the best team when it comes to offense, defense, and anything in between. They play really well as a team. They're very well built, and they're injured. They're still missing their star center. So without Chet Holmgren, they have been amazing. Shea dropped a 50 bomb last night, and they've built to a near perfect level for a team in total. They're just a near perfect team. It's harder to build a better team considering the picks they have. But see, I want to have some fun with the first two teams. So I got two ideas for trades. My first one is to get Cam Johnson. I think Cam Johnson would be a huge addition to the Thunder, and it would just improve their team in general. That they have the picks for it. The Nets are probably going to sell, so they have the space for it. It could work, and it would take a lot of picks. It'd probably take 2 or 3, but he is worth it talent-wise because he can replace a bench player or a starting player and improve that team to near championship guarantees. They are the best team in the league. We've seen them play like the best. They've had some off games. They lost to the Cavs at one point, but then they beat the Cavs in a more dominant fashion than they lost it. So, that's the Thunder, the Cup champions. So, that'd be cool too to see a Cup champion win. I think they're Cup champions. I'm not sure. I don't remember for certain. Alright, we're going to go to number 2 though. And the Houston Rockets are my number 2. I know you're going to say, oh, Cavs. The Cavs should be number 2. Cavs are number 2. They should have been number 2. But I said, screw it. It's my list. I get to do what I want. And I want the Rockets at 2. If you got a problem with that, make your own podcast. Make your own list. I don't care. My number 2 is the Houston Rockets. And I'll tell you why. They have been dominating lately. On a 4-game win streak, they've beat the Cavs 2 times. And beat the Celtics by 2 in a game winner from Amen Thompson. The team is well crafted, very good together. They have Sengun is taking a leap, Amen's taking a leap, Dylan Brooks is actually looking decent, dropped 30 against the Celtics. And they're really well built as a team to where defensively they're a threat, offensively they're a threat. They're like a step behind the Thunder. That's the difference. So they're just slightly behind the Thunder, but that's a tough team to be even in the stratosphere of. You're a step behind them, that means you're a great team. They're putting up great numbers. They're winning good games. But I think there's one player that they could use that demanded a trade recently. That's De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox has been begging to get out. He said he wanted to go to the Spurs. We listen, but we don't. I don't want him to go to Spurs. I don't think it'd be fun on the Spurs. I think he is built for Houston. He would fit perfectly. They could get some more pieces out of there, DeMar DeRozan, something like that. Something to improve as a team through from starters to bench. You had Fred VanVleet. If you add a Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith, Cam Whittemore, and 3 firsts, you could probably get Fox and DeRozan and put Fox at your 1. Now your starting lineup is Fox, Amen, Dylan Brooks. We'll do DeRozan and then Sengun. A tiny lineup, but a very well complete lineup that could lead to more wins and more success as a team together. Who says no to that trade though? Because I mean, they build up both improve through different ways. We'll see. Number 3, we're gonna go with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are the 3rd best team in the NBA. You could swap them to 2nd. I think they're 3rd. I think the Rockets are better. They've lost to the Rockets. But the Cavs are really good. But the Cavs are really weird. They're very well built. They're a complete team through and through. Arguably the 2nd best team on paper. One of the better point guards in the league. One of the better shooting guards. One of the better small forwards. One of the better power forwards. And one of the best centers. They're very complete. But they don't fit well together. And that's the problem the Cavs are starting to run into. Where you can't have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen on the same side. Or something like that. I think it was like Garland and Mitchell. They can't be on the court at the same time. So you end up with this weird pickle where you can't bench them, but you can't start them. So they got to sort through that. They've had this problem since last playoffs. They looked way hot in the first quarter or so of the NBA season. Then they've cooled down. They're 5-5 in the last 10. Not great, but they're still holding on well. They still only have 9 losses, which is a great run. They almost broke the most wins consecutively. They look good. Not great enough to be a guaranteed championship like the Thunder. But they're probably conference championship level. With the number 4 team, the Celtics. I think the Celtics are number 4. I don't know how you could put them any higher. It's kind of hard to put them lower. I'm the biggest Celtic hater out of everybody, and I still think that they're probably number 4. Jrue Holiday's a really good defender. He fits perfectly in that team. JB, JT, all of them work. Peyton Pritchard's on a tremendous run from the bench. But they're just missing a piece. I think. But you can't trade for anybody because you don't have the cap space. So it won't work. But you're missing one piece. I don't know who. I don't know what. But something about it just isn't working. But I have a theory. I think it's a Nuggets level. Remember Nuggets last year? They kind of coasted through. They got the 1 seed somehow. But they weren't playing too serious until the latter half of the season. I think the Celtics are probably doing that. They're kind of being smart about it. They're not really risking injuries. Not dancing with the devil almost. They're playing great, but they lose to the bad teams. And that's what's in my head. It's stuck in my head. 6 out of the last 8 teams they've lost to are not in the top 15 of this power rankings. The only 2 teams are the Magic and the Thunder, who are in the top 15. That is insane from a team who's supposed to be a championship contender. That's like if Ohio State lost all their easy games, but then they played ranked teams and won. It's not. You can't be doing that because it kills your team. It hurts how well your team is formulated to where you can lose to these bad teams who get out there like, hey, this is how you beat them. They underestimate teams. And that's how you get upsetted. That's how Purdue loses to Fairleigh Dickinson. That's how Kentucky loses to Oakland. You get cocky, you get confident, and then you get killed. But in all reality, I trust Joe Mazzulla. I think he will be able to turn it around. And I wouldn't be surprised if they turned on the Jets and went into the conference championship on a heater. But we'll have to see. Number 5, give me the New York Knicks. I think the New York Knicks are one of the last few championship contenders. They are rolling as a team. They fit perfectly together. All those trade spams somehow worked out. They didn't work out for the Wolves, but we'll talk about that later. But I mean, it's just perfect for the team. It's Cat works good. JB works good. They just fit as a team. They're fused together, and it just works perfectly. There's no question about it. Who's good, who's not. You know their starting lineup. They have a great coach, great team, and they win. They've won games. They beat teams that are competent level. Like, I think they stopped the Grizzlies by 40 recently. So they're competitive. They're a great team. Let's see if they can keep it up, though. It does concern me a little bit that they're 6-4 in the last 10, but so are the Celtics. So we'll see how that goes. Number 6, the Milwaukee Bucks. They're the last championship contender I have. And it's a bit controversial. But I think if there's a person who can win a championship with a good team, but they need to do most of the work, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Without a doubt, Giannis is one of the strongest players, one of the best players in the league, easily. And it's not even close. And I don't think he would have to go on like an MVP level run to win it all. But I feel like there's something in it that he could turn it around and win it all when it comes down to it, because that's what he's done. He did it against the Suns. He probably can do it again. And now he has Damian Lillard, who actually they're starting to work for now. So let's see what happens. There's still trade talks around them. There's a lot of names circling in trade talks, but they're one of the bigger teams with trade talks. Let's go on to the next team. So we're going to talk about the dark horse teams now. Teams that are good, not great, but they should be title contenders. If not, they could make a sneaky run. Number 7, we have the Memphis Grizzlies, and I have been keeping an eye on the Grizzlies for the entire season. I've been preaching that this is one of the better teams in the NBA. They are sneaky good. They have Ja Morant, they have G.G. Jackson, Jaren Jackson, Desmond Bane. Edey's looking great. Edey's hurt, I think, right now, or something like that. But they look good. They're just injured. Injury plague is brutal on Memphis. It's what killed him last year. It could kill him this year. Ja Morant's actually getting healthy now, and he's playing healthy too. It's not like he's just coming in, coming out, coming in, coming out. He's playing healthy, and he's playing good. We'll have to see how it unfolds. I think Ja deserves a little more minutes, so before we move on. Ja Morant was only getting like 23 minutes a night, and that is absurd to me that you could bench your player for that long. He's the superstar of the team. He's the best player on this team without a doubt. And you bench him? Logic doesn't make sense. Next team we'll talk about is the Denver Nuggets. So, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking of teams that could make a run, but also are very powerful now. And this one here, my bad. This is one of the Denver Nuggets are one of those teams that I think could make the runs. Denver is known for their like quick late runs. They play kind of good in the season, and then the minute postseason comes on, they turn on the Jets. Jokic unleashes. But Jokic is unleashed now. He's playing great right now, and they're still losing games. And how can you, it's just not acceptable almost. You can't be a good team and lose games when your star player has a great game. It's just not how it should work. Next team we'll move on to is the Indiana Pacers at number 9. And I think the Indiana Pacers are one of the most slept on teams in the NBA. They are one superstar away from to be a championship contender. They're one superstar away. I don't know who it would be. I'm thinking a KD, something of that level, like a superstar to fit next to Tyrese Halliburton that doesn't impede on Tyrese Halliburton's game. Tyrese was a great trade to get. way back when, and it's paying off. And I think they could win it all sneakily, but I don't think it will happen unless they make a trade at this trade deadline. Next team we'll talk about is the Orlando Magic. Let me clarify very straight. I'm very biased. My favorite team is the Orlando Magic. So when I saw a chance to put them very high, I did. I'm not going to lie. I did. Number 10, they're good because they are unhealthy for now. The reason they've been struggling lately is just because they're unhealthy. The Heat game was a bad choke. I will always stand on that soapbox. I don't know how we lost that game. But coaching-wise, we're set. Shooting-wise is the one problem we have. We can't shoot for crap. And then we shoot shots, and we end up looking like the 07 Bobcats. We actually have a slightly better three-point than the Bobcats, which shouldn't be possible because they shot 29% on the season. So that's what I got on the Magic. I think they're very sneaky, and I think they could make a run. I think they're not to the level of the Pacers and Nuggets yet because they have to find that groove, that in-sync mentality. But on to the next one, we got the Clippers at number 11 and the Wolves at number 12. I think you can combine them, but for different reasons. But for the same overall arching one, and that's that they have made bad trades that are biting them in the butt. This year, the Wolves are having the biggest problem with trade is because of Cat. So far, the Clippers have had problems because of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And now that they're actually getting healthy, they deserve to be number 11. They're one of the better teams in the league when they actually play healthy. Not when they go in without James Harden, without Paul George. They've built a 2008 Nets level where they're good, but they're old and washed up, but they still have some good games. The Wolves, on the other hand, are the opposite, where they built a team that's too young, but also very similar in play style, which does not work in the NBA. They have like two shooters, and then the rest go to the paint, and that's the problem when you consider that your best player has to go into the paint. Julius Randle's not bad from either, but he's not really great defensively. So yeah, Julius Randle was not the trade at the time. I'm sure the Wolves really regret that move. So on to the next one, we got the Kings and Lakers. We'll talk about both of them at the same time because they're LA teams. The Kings are looking to sell. All of a sudden, De'Aaron Fox wants out again. He wants the rings, and I don't blame him. I would too, and I wouldn't be like, Kings if I want to win. So, you want rings? Where do you go? I already told you, Houston. But they look good. They look good lately. They have been on that heater. They have cooled down a lot recently. But they'll come back. I think they will. I think they're very solid as a team in general. Once they get to a position where they're settled down, they know what's happening, then I think they'll be good. I think right now they're very rushed and scattered. So we'll see. The Lakers, on the other hand, are the same way. They're rushed and scattered. They don't know what to do. They don't know what's happening. It feels like half the time. A lot of stuff going on outside of the court. A lot of stuff inside. JJ's in shambles. JJ Redick was not a great coaching hire. Looking at it now. Not the greatest choice they've ever made. But hey, you do you. It happens. You make some wrong choices. The next team we'll talk about is the Heat at number 15. And we're halfway through this list. And the halfway through the list team is the Heat. Because they're not great. But they're not bad. They're sneaky good. Bam Adebayo needs to catch back to all-star level, though. Right now, he's playing at a subpar level. But once he gets back to all-star, all-pro levels, with Tyler Hero playing like how he is, yeah, they could be an actual threat to the conference instead of just like what they're kind of doing, where they're just kind of drifting. They can't decide whether they want to be good or bad. Next team we'll talk about is 16 is the Suns. The Phoenix Suns are the 16th best team in the league, and you can't convince me otherwise because they're starting to fall apart again. They're going back to this team that doesn't really have a direction. They're kind of just aimlessly wandering. And that's not a good way to build a team. It's actually very much the opposite. People already want KD. If I'm the owner, I'm trading everybody and rebuilding from there. I would not be having KD. I would not be holding on to these guys, Bradley Beal and such. That I wouldn't let that happen. I would get rid of the guys who are problems. They're cancers to the locker room. But we'll see. For number 17, we have the Detroit Pistons. I think they're rolling. They're so good lately. They've been playing out of their mind. The one loss to the Magic was a good loss. It wasn't like they're bad. Cade Cunningham is doing a lot, though. They're a star away, I think. I think they're a championship contender with a star and some time. You probably need 2 years and then a star. So De'Aaron Fox is another one. That's another option he could go. I think he would work. Actually, never mind. He wouldn't work very well with trade. I think they need a shooter. If they were to get a star, it would be a shooter. A Dyson Daniels, a Jalen Johnson, something like that to really fill out that team. Next team we'll talk about is the Dallas Mavericks at 18. That's very low. You might be thinking, hey, that's pretty low. That's pretty disrespectful. I don't care. I don't think they're that good. They've been very banged up. They've been very south of being a decent team, and that's not a good thing. I think they can get hot, but they've kind of struggled, and they don't look good. Their center play is very lackluster at best. Luka's 10%. It's messy over in Dallas, and I don't think they deserve to really be higher. They could have been lower. So 19, the middle of the pack now. We're breaking in to the middle, the alright teams, not great teams. The Spurs are the first team, the number 19 team. They're good, but I think they're a little bit away. I think Wembanyama is one of the better players in the NBA currently, and I think Chris Paul matches that play style, but I think Chris Paul is a little too old. This is where De'Aaron Fox wants to go. If he does go there, I would move him up to slight dark horse. So pretty good, not great. We'll see how it goes. I think if he goes there, it will make them a very big threat, considering Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox would work perfectly together. Next team we got is the Hawks, and they're very confusing. Jalen Johnson did just go on IR for the rest of the season, by the way, in case y'all didn't know. They're interesting because losing Jalen Johnson obviously shoots him in the foot, but they have the talent. They just haven't put it together. And I think you need to put that talent together to be able to win these games that they're kind of losing, where they're not great, not bad. They're just kind of mid. They're always mid nowadays. Next team, guys, the 21 is the Warriors. Also a disrespectful pick, but I don't care because I think everyone lives off nostalgia lately with the Warriors. They're not that good. The cum bucket is all right at best. Steph does not look half of his glory days. And I mean, they just don't look great. They haven't been great offensively, great defensively. The reason they won that championship was because of the defense, not the offense. So when you don't have either, you can't really win anything. So I think some stuff has to happen. I don't know how you can trade Steph, but you might have to. If it gets to that point, we'll see. Number 22 is 76ers. And I think the Philadelphia 76ers are very much in a tanking scenario where you tank for Cooper Flag. You go down, you get the number 6 pick, so you get out of that protected, and you get your draft pick. And then you get Cooper Flag, so you can have the stud of the league right now. One of the best college basketball players in the college basketball world. If you fall down that far and pick him up, it's a huge impact on your future as a team. The next topic we're going to be hitting on is the candy under your bed. The not that great, but kind of surprising, are the Raptors at number 23. Not a great team, not a bad team. They're fun to watch, that's for sure. They keep every game close somehow. The number 24 is the Bulls. Again, a frisky team. Wins some good ones, loses some bad ones. It's the Bulls. They're going to be mid at best. They beat the Celtics, so they're going to ride on that high for another 2 months. And then they'll end up flopping out in the playoffs. Or they'll just miss the playoffs entirely, hopefully. Number 25, I have the Hornets. Even though Melo did just get hurt, I think they're still a very sneaky team. But I think once Melo comes back, they will be deserving a 25 if they're not now. Number 26 is probably this Trailblazers. Scoot Henderson has been improving. They've been improving as a team, just not to a level that you can really expect from the Trailblazers. Post Dame, they've been kind of awful, and it just only continues. Number 27 is the Nets, and 28 is the Jazz. You can combine them two together because they're missing stars. They keep getting hurt, but they're not that good as a team in general. The bench depth is not there, but they do have some studs like Collier for the Jazz and the Cam Johnson for the Nets. 29 is the Pelicans, who have nobody. They just keep getting hurt. They're the Grizzlies from last year, the Magic from this year. It's messy. And number 30, who surprised? The Washington Wizards. Do I need to say more? No? Alright. We're going to move over to some new stuff. I wanted to try some Fanspo grids. So we have a few. So there was one that called Build the Perfect Player. So it was playmaking, shooting, defense, finishing, size, and athleticism. For $15, my first pick was Tyrese Halliburton for $4 on playmaking. You'll see it on the screen somewhere. So I picked Tyrese for $4. And then I picked Zach LaVine for $3 for shooting. Between Curry, KD, LaVine, Wiggins, and Scoot Henderson, I was going to pick Scoot, but I think LaVine is low-key a slept-on shooter. And because I couldn't miss this defensive opportunity. So they were Rudy Gobert, Evan Mobley, Jrue Holiday, Jalen Suggs, and Mike Conley. I picked Jalen Suggs at $2. Steal of the draft, probably. One of the better players in the NBA when it comes to defense. He's a Magic player, so he's one of the better defenders altogether. So for finishing, I was kind of running out of money. So I went with Julius Randle because I didn't want to go down to... So it was Giannis, Shea, Randle, Kelly Oubre, and CP3. I think there was only one pick, and it was Randle. You can't go to Giannis. I couldn't afford it unless I wanted to spend $1. But I couldn't go to Shea because I wanted a size and athleticism between Wemby, Joel Embiid, Amen Thompson, Jalen Williams, and Maxi Kleber. I picked Amen to build the perfect player I have. Tyrese Halliburton's playmaking, Zach LaVine's shooting, Jalen Suggs' defense, Julius Randle finishing, and Amen Thompson's body. Insane combo. I love that personally. So there was two more. One of build your best current lineup right now. $15, same deal. So the point guards were Shea for $5, Tyrese for $4, LaMelo for $3, Emmanuel Quickley for $2, and Josh Giddey for $1. So I was thinking about it. I was very close to picking Josh Giddey. I just want that to be said. Josh Giddey's not that bad lately, and he kind of fits what you're trying to do. It kind of fits that passing, cheap guard who can pass, who can play defense. But I went with Emmanuel Quickley for $2 because he can pass. He can do everything Giddey can, but a little bit better and a little more athletic and better defense. So with that, I went from Quickley. Now I had to pick a shooting guard, and it was between Ant, Cam Thomas, CJ McCollum, Jordan Poole, and Colin Sexton. And I think Colin Sexton at $1 was a steal. No hesitation, I picked Colin Sexton. When I went with Giddey, I did go with Jordan Poole, but I did change it after, so I went with Sexton. That means the rest of this didn't change from when I went with Giddey. My small forward, I picked Mikal Bridges for $3 because it's between Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, Mikal Bridges, Jonathan Kuminga, and Keldon Johnson. Why am I stroking? So I picked Mikal. Feels easy enough. You can't afford Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler wouldn't be worth it. JT would have, but he was too expensive. Mikal's perfect at 3. He probably should have been 4. Jimmy should have been 3. But whatever. Power forward is between Giannis, Jaren Jackson Jr., Jeremiah Grant, Rui Hachimura, and Isaiah Stewart. And I looked at this one and I said, hey, Jaren Jackson Jr. at $4 is probably the best deal when it comes to who else is below him. You can't go with Giannis because of who you want next. So I went with Jaren Jackson Jr. For the $4 that he cost, he probably fits better. He would have worked better he works better than Jeremiah Grant. He works better than Rui. He works better than Stewart. And my center is Nikola Jokic. For $5, Sengun was $4. Miles Turner was $3. Zubac was $2. And Daniel Gafford was $1. And there was no question about it. Give me number $5. Give me Jokic. Jokic is perfect for this team. So my lineup was Emmanuel Quigley, Colin Sexton, Mikal Bridges, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Nikola Jokic. So we're doing one more, and it's the Hall of Famers. Anybody all time. So for point guards, it was Steph Curry, Magic Johnson, Chris Paul, LaMelo Ball, and D'Lo. You can't go D'Lo, and you can't go... I was going to go Melo. It was tempting, but there was better guys. So I went with Magic Johnson. I put it on... I thought about it, and I was like, there's no shot you can pick anybody other than Magic Johnson. It's basically Chris Paul, but just 10 times better in every category. So when we got to shooting guard, and it was close. Michael Jordan was $5. Kobe was $4. KD was $3. For some reason, KD was $3, by the way. I don't know about that. James Harden was $2. And Ant was $1. And I was thinking about it. I was like, hey, if we're going off primes, there's only one person you can do. That's prime James Harden. With Magic Johnson would be insane size. Perfect together. And it would have just worked. I just, for some reason in my mind, I pictured that would work perfectly. Without a hitch or any problems. So, continuing with the primes, you got to remember, if we're talking prime, small forwards, LeBron, Larry Bird, Carmelo Anthony, Jason Tatum, Zachary Ricochet. You can't go with Ricochet. JT was tempting, but Carmelo Anthony's prime, you're scoring 50. You're scoring 140 a game. You might be allowing 150, but that's where the rest comes in. So I've spent $4, so $6, and then $9. So I have $6 left. And I was thinking about defense is lackluster. It looks. Why not get a great defender in Kevin Garnett? For $4, I chose Kevin Garnett. And then I thought about it again, and I was looking at it, and it's like Alexander Starr for $2 or Blake Griffin for $1. And I thought about prime Blake Griffin for $1 with Magic Johnson and James Harden and Carmelo. Yeah, I took prime Blake Griffin. So my starting lineup is Magic Johnson, James Harden, Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Garnett, and Blake Griffin. That's all I got for y'all today. I'm excited to try out this new editing style. I'm learning how to edit now so I can make better content for y'all. Today was a bit of a rushed one, but we'll be improving the quality as we go on. Thank you for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.